Alright, people, this weekend we have the rematch Chris Eubank Jr. versus Liam Smith 2. We will be doing a live watch along for this. It's going to be a clean sweep for the month of August. We've done a live watch along for the two pay per views in this month so far. Well, actually, this is going to be technically in September, but we're going to be doing a watch along for it nonetheless. I'm actually looking forward to this fight. It's gone a bit under the radar. Sky haven't really promoted it the way they did the first fight. I suspect because there's also that talk of Conor Benn, or at least there was. Was Eubank going to fight Smith? Was it going to be Conor Benn? Even though it was actually Liam Smith who was the one pushing the fight back, it wasn't Chris Eubank Jr. Ultimately, we ended up with the fight. It's not been, as I said, promoted the way the first one was, so it's gone a little bit under the radar. It just kind of crept up on people. In terms of the card, I mean, by boxer standards, it's not bad. You've got Florian Marku versus Dylan Moran. Haven't seen Marku in a while. Moran is a guy from Waterford. He's not particularly good, no chin. So Marku should win that fight. Fraser Clark versus Dave Allen. Garbage fight. Absolutely don't understand why Dave Allen is going back in there or why they'd want to do that, but AO. Adam Azim is there, so he's back down to kind of being on the undercards. And Mark Heffron versus Jack Cullen, which could be an actual good fight. I'd be favouring Mark Heffron pretty heavily in that fight, though, to be honest with you. Culminating in the rematch, Liam Smith versus Chris Eubank Jr. If we look at the tail of the tape, Liam Smith will start with, because he was the winner in the first fight. 33 wins, 3 defeats, 1 draw, 20 wins coming by way of knockout. He's a 60% KO ratio. A lot of his opponents have said that he hits a lot harder than even his record suggests. So a big puncher is Liam Smith. 35 years old, 5'9", from Liverpool, Merseyside. So he is coming into this fight against Chris Eubank Jr., who is 32 wins, 3 defeats, with 23 wins coming by way of knockout, a 71% KO ratio, although Eubank Jr. is not necessarily known as the biggest one-punch puncher. 33 years old, 5'11", 72 wins reach from Brighton in Sussex. We've got North versus South of England. Brighton in the south, and we have Merseyside up the north. So both these guys, the first fight, I was favouring Eubank very heavily in the first fight. And I seen a lot of people on here pick Liam Smith. I know Joe Stunner Boxing, shout out to him, was picking Liam Smith to win. And I don't think there was anyone who was picking Eubank Jr. who thought this would be a rout or anything like that. I think we all thought it would go long. Liam Smith would have his moments, and the people picking Liam Smith, they even as well thought it would go long. Eubank would have his moments. An early knockout was something that was just so incomprehensible almost. It really was, because Eubank had always talked about having a granite chin, an iron chin, and being hit by big punters in sparring and in the ring, and never shown any fragility. Against George Groves, there was a few little shaky moments there. I know he was actually dropped in that fight. It wasn't called, but he did touch down from a jab, a very stiff, solid George Groves jab. I think it was in the second round. And again, it was really only just a knee touchdown. It was a knockdown. It should have been called a knockdown. It wasn't. But he wasn't out on his feet or anything like that. So he'd always shown very good punch resistance. And someone like George Groves, a noted power puncher, more so on the right hand, but still a very big puncher nonetheless, and a much, much bigger man. You kind of thought, okay, yeah, he probably does have a solid chin. His dad, Senior, had a very, very good chin. It only really deteriorated a little bit later in his career when he started, getting a bit over the hill, and he was cutting a lot of weight to get down to 168 as well. So for him to just be hurt like that, and really hurt, not recover, and be taken out in 4 rounds by Liam Smith, it was a lot. Even for the people picking Liam Smith to win, it was a real case of, whoa, I didn't see that coming. You even saw people doing post-fight reviews who picked Liam Smith who said, well, I picked him, but I didn't see that coming. I don't think anyone did. It was a shock. It was a big, not Liam Smith winning, but just the manner of it. An early knockout. I don't think anyone could have picked that. Really, really out of the blue. And the rematch now, a lot of people are saying it's going to be revenge, because Liam Smith has knocked Eubank Jr. out. He exposed a couple of flaws in Eubank Jr.'s defence. Some people are still claiming it's an elbow. It was a punch. It was a punch that started the whole thing. And ultimately it was an uppercut, I think, that really. And the uppercut, you'll often find when a fighter gets hit with a big uppercut and their neck snaps back, it normally means the legs are gone and the legs need some time to recover. And that was one of the reasons as well why Eubank Jr. couldn't recover from it, because it was a big uppercut. A lot of people are saying Liam Smith again, and Liam Smith in similar fashion. Now, Chris Eubank Jr. has changed his team up. So Roy Jones is now gone from his team, and he's brought in Bomac, who is obviously the trainer of Terence Crawford. Some people are saying that that's going to make a big difference to Chris Eubank Jr. I'll be frank, it'll make no difference whatsoever, because it's only been a couple of weeks. You need at least a year, probably more, to really notice the benefit and notice a change in a fighter who's working with a new trainer. But what I do think benefits Eubank Jr. in a sense of having Bomac in the corner is that he probably won't be as worried about doing what he's been told by Roy Jones. So what I mean by that is, when he was being trained by Roy Jones, you got the impression that Eubank was stuck between two styles. He was trying to do the long range boxing and almost trying to look like Roy Jones in the ring. And there was moments in some of his fights, like against Marcus Morrison, like against Liam Williams, where he really wanted to revert to type, which is the short uppercuts, the short hooks, looking to pierce the guard. You know, when a fighter squares his shoulders up, he loves that because he can just let those combinations go. And you could see at times in those fights he wanted to do it, but he pulled back from doing it and then just went back to his boxing, which I personally feel is a mistake. At the end of the day, Eubank Jr. is what Eubank Jr. is. You're better off just focusing on his strengths, which are that, and just try and minimize his weaknesses. Instead, you had Roy Jones try and mold as a completely different fighter. And the concept of Eubank being this long range boxer is just, for me, it wasn't right for him. He's just not that type of fighter, you know, and he's had trouble with his elbow in the past. So for a guy who's had that trouble to be throwing a lot of straight shots, especially the jab, which you'll get, like, what is it called, the athlete's or tennis elbow, you're probably best to just keep focus on his strengths and try and minimize the weaknesses, and you'll be okay. You know, Eubank's always going to struggle with boxers. That's just going to be the way it is. Against Liam Smith, however, he's not in there with a boxer. He's in there with a pressure fighter. A very good pressure fighter in Liam Smith, but a pressure fighter nonetheless. Someone who does come up with a high guard, who does square his shoulders up, and is open for a lot of the shots that Eubank was throwing. When you look at the fight, the first two rounds, you could really score them whichever way you wanted. Some had Eubank winning a round or two in the first couple of rounds, and some had Liam Smith winning them. No one could argue the third round, though. The third round was Eubank Jr. and Eubank Jr. quite decisively. You know, he didn't drop Liam Smith, but he started finding his range. He was letting the uppercuts go. Liam Smith was feeling them, and you kind of thought, okay, Eubank's getting into his stride here. You know, he has his groove going. And then in the fourth round, we obviously know what happened. But if Eubank Jr. could stick with that, stick with what he was doing in the third round and not make the same mistakes, I think he really does have a shot in here. I think that Eubank Jr. from early on, he's just going to need to just do what he used to always do. Look to sneak that uppercut up the guard. You know, when Eubank Jr., when he fought Avni Yildirim, if you ever watched that fight, right? When Eubank Jr. sets that, and it was a vicious combination he stopped Yildirim in, his feet are almost pushing so hard into the canvas because he's trying to generate maximum power in those shots. And if you can do that against someone like Liam Smith, now Liam Smith will punch with you. He's a much better fighter than Avni Yildirim. But nevertheless, if you can really put a beating on him like you did that, let those combinations go, let the hand speed go, and really dig those punches in, you're going to have success. You're going to hurt Liam Smith, right? You're going to take a lot of the air out of his sails, right? And that's going to benefit you because the longer it goes, the less his power is going to be. I'm not saying you should be making mistakes, but if you are making mistakes, you might not have to worry as much. Also on Eubank Jr.'s side is the fact that, yeah, this fight is going to be at 160. And a lot of people said that that was the problem the first time around. I don't think that was necessarily the problem. I think the problem is that he had a fight with Conor Benn lined up in October, early October. It was pulled on, I think, the Friday. Eubank Jr. still made weight on the Saturday, so he weighed 159 pounds or whatever it was. He looked like a complete skeleton because he was planning on a rehydration clause being in there. He probably took, what would you say, 10 days, 2 weeks, if even, to recover from all that, to go straight back into another camp to take more weight out of himself. So he was probably absolutely between overtrained, drained. I'm not making an excuse. Liam Smith won, right? He won fair and square. But all I'm saying is that was not optimum Eubank Jr. Now you could argue it wasn't optimum Liam Smith either, and that's certainly possible. I don't think any fighter really goes into a fight. They might say they're 100%, but there's always going to be niggles there, 100%. So Eubank Jr. going in, I think, will be a lot stronger. I really do. I think we're going to see a much more competitive fight this time around. The more I look at it, the more I think about it, the more I play it in my head, I really think we're going to see a more competitive fight. However, Liam Smith is going to have so much confidence going in there with Chris Eubank Jr. He's going to know, right, I can hurt this guy. He throws these shots. I need to be wary. Liam Smith, it's all well and good to square your shoulders up and come in with the high guard if they're throwing straight shots, but Eubank Jr. doesn't throw straight shots. So where Liam Smith is able to block some of those shots, if they're straight, they're hitting them on the glove, they're going up the guard. He's going to want to make sure to move his goddamn head. Almost, I don't want someone to say, like, you're saying he's like Mike. I'm not saying he's like Mike Tyson, but almost have his head on a little pendulum like that. He's going in, move the head. So as though if the Eubank Jr. is coming with the uppercuts, at least you're not just standing there with a target saying, see this chin? Come and hit it. Don't do that. He's going to want to, you don't want to play into Eubank Jr.'s strengths, because I don't think Eubank is going to go in here looking to try and make it a boxing match. I think he's going to go in there, look at what he did right in the first fight and think, right, I need to do that. I need to consistently do with this fight. I don't need to be working about my jab and moving and this and that and show, but I need to just go away and do what I was doing in that third round. Only difference is do it over the course of 12 this time. Liam Smith's going to want to be wary of that. Liam Smith is going to want to hit absolutely anything he can get on Eubank Jr. You've stopped him with a headshot. That's good. Fair enough. But the head's not always going to be there. Don't go head hunting. Go and hit Eubank Jr. in the body. He might still be struggling to make 160 pounds. If that is the case, go and hit his goddamn body. Fold him in half with a body shot. Because that is a good way to bring the guard down. He makes mistakes defensively, and I think that even though you iron him out, the mistakes are always going to be there. And then look to land your headshots. And that's what I'd be saying to Liam Smith. Now, he's obviously with Joe McNally, who was a very good trainer, excellent trainer is Joe McNally. I think he'll have a game plan, something similar. I think he'll have Liam Smith moving his head. I think he'll be telling Liam Smith, just hit him in the body and try and see if he can bring the guard down. If he makes mistakes and he backs up to the ropes, that's where you got him. That's where you had success the last time. You'll have it this time. If you're Bomac, I think Bomac, what he'll be doing, he won't be showing Eubank Jr. anything new. I don't believe, certainly not in this camp. But I think he'll just be trying to get Eubank Jr. He'll look at him and say, right, what do you do well? You do this well, we'll focus on this. He will basically be guiding Eubank Jr. through the fight. I know you can say that's what a trainer does, but I don't think he's going to be adding any wrinkles to his game. He'll just be guiding Eubank Jr. through this fight, reminding him of what he needs to do and what he needs to do well. And I think that's really going to be what Bomac is going to be doing there. What happens after, if Eubank Jr. wins, if he stays at Bomac, different story. You might see an improved fighter. I don't know. He's 33 years old. It could be too long in the tooth. I don't know. But I think we're going to see a competitive fight. I think we're going to see a very competitive fight in there. I'm thinking that Eubank Jr. is going to be coming out, throwing the short shots from early on, maybe only using the jab sporadically, and just looking to light Liam Smith up with uppercuts. I think Liam Smith is going to be looking to pressure Eubank Jr., walk him onto shots. He's sneaky with some of those shots. If you look at him when he fought Anthony Fowler, he was able to just walk Anthony Fowler onto right hands after right hands and drop him a couple of times. And I'm wondering, is he going to be trying to do that? Almost set the traps for Eubank Jr. and then punch with him. He knows he can hurt Eubank Jr., so he's going to be full of confidence knowing that, hang on a minute, you didn't hurt me, but I knocked you out. And I think that's what Liam Smith's going to be doing. He's going to be looking to hit Eubank Jr. in the body and walk him onto traps. Repeat or revenge? This is the tricky part, right? Because sometimes I always say go with your gut feeling. And my gut is actually telling me Eubank Jr. is going to win this fight on points. But there's another part of me that's seen the first fight and just thinks, who's to say that can't happen again? And once your chin has been dented like that, and if you think about this, if you had such confidence in your chin, if you believed, truly believed your chin was this good, for it to then get cracked, that knocks the confidence in you and your chin and your ability to take a shot. Based upon the first fight, I have to make a pick. And my pick for this fight is Liam Smith on points. I don't think he'll stop Eubank this time, but I think he'll win a decision. He might drop Eubank Jr. in this fight. He might get dropped himself. But I think he'll have a little bit too much still for Eubank Jr. And if Eubank Jr. loses, I mean, in a way, it really is loser leaves town for both guys. Because what does the loser do? I mean, it's a real hard climb back for the loser. It really is. I mean, you could say Eubank might have Conor Benn. We don't know what's going to happen there with the whole UCAD situation, the investigation going on there. If I was Eubank, I would be if Eubank wins this fight, I'd be saying, see how Billy Joe, because there's talk of him coming back in December, see how he gets on and try and make that fight. It's probably the most winnable against Billy Joe chance you'll have to beat Billy Joe you'll ever get. It's probably the best chance to beat him, because Billy Joe has been living a rock star's lifestyle the last 2 years, probably, it's fair to say. At least you haven't been doing that. Yeah, you got knocked out by Liam Smith, so you're probably not deteriorated that much. You're only 33. Billy Joe, I mean, God knows what he's been doing the last 2 years. So that's my thoughts on this. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope, once again, lads and lasses, you enjoyed the video. We're definitely going to be doing a live watch along for this fight. We're probably even going to do a live stream. This is Tuesday when I'm recording it, but I'll probably do a live stream maybe about 8, half 8 Wednesday evening. It's going to go in the morning. We'll probably do a live stream that evening and just preview the fight, have a chat with you guys, and of course, yes, watch along on Saturday. The watch alongs have been doing unbelievable numbers lately. I gotta thank everyone who's been locking in and joining in for those. It's been unbelievable seeing the response to some of the watch alongs, and financially they've actually been very good as well. They've really benefited to the channel and benefited to me as well. So I gotta thank everyone for that. So much appreciate the support. Long may it last, long may it continue. Let's see if we can do 12,600 by the weekend. Let's see. I'll leave it there, lads and lasses. I hope you enjoyed the video. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. I'll chat to you this evening. Peace.